Okay, so we are back, and the terminology again is different in fifth grade than it is in sixth grade. The terminology for 6 over 12, if we wanted to make that smaller, is that they would look for an equivalent fraction that is smaller. But when you get to sixth grade, they use the terms reduce or simplify. Either one means that you are making the fraction smaller. In order to do that, you can think of what can go into both of them. But a good general rule of thumb is if they're both even numbers, they can always be divided by 2. So at least gives you a starting point. Because sometimes when you divide them by 2, you find out that you still have not done it enough and that they are still even numbers and you can divide them by 2 again. So the general rule of thumb, again, class, is if it's even, you can divide it by 2. So if I take 6 and divide it by 2, my new fraction is 3 over 2 divided by 12 is 6. So it appears that this is a smaller fraction than this. They're both equivalent because if I multiply 3 times 2, it'll equal 6. And if I multiply 6 times 2, it'll equal 12. So they're still equivalent fractions. But if I'm looking at this and it says that they want it in simplest forms or the lowest form, that means that this still needs to go more because I know that 3 can go into 3 one time, and I know that 3 can go into 6 two times. So I'm going to show you what that would look like again. So I would divide both of them by 3. So in order for this to be efficient, you have to understand that in fractions, you have to use the same number on the top and the bottom when you're multiplying to find equivalent, and when you are finding or you're reducing, or simplifying, you have to use 1 because you are making that small. It has to be the same on the top as the bottom. So again, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So my answer would come out to 1/2. Another quick way to do this is if you went back to the original problem that we had here, you could look right above it and see that 6 plus 6 equals 12. So in essence, this is half. So those of you that are able to catch that early and see that this is half, then you can simply reduce it or simplify it to 1/2 immediately. These are just the basic steps to finally get you to that point.